Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal way back from the beginning. A trusted source for the news. 79th Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news. 79th Halas in your ears, you. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to 79th Halas Offseason edition. This is episode 2 of our 4-part off-season series that will lead you right up to our training camp coverage, man. This your boy Scott and Flows here. You know to follow us at Barbchair Scott, at Flows Angelini. Follow 79th Halas at 79th Halas on Twitter, and that's and. Spell the word and out, not the and, signal. Spell it out. That's what you do on there, man. So, yeah, man, in today's episode, we will be breaking down division, the NFC North, arguably the best division in football. This division had 3 playoff teams last year. Yeah, man. First off, what's your just overall thoughts on this division? With the way people talk about it, the way it's evolved, like even in our time as Bears fans, you rarely got 4 teams who could possibly make the playoffs on paper. Like you always either it's the Packers run, which is majority of the time. Maybe it's a couple years where the Bears won it, and maybe it's a couple years where the Vikings won it. And not until recently were the Lions even ever put in that conversation. Just what's your overall thoughts about the division as a whole?
I do think this is one of, if not the best division in football, simply because every team is poised to be a contender. The Lions already have all the people that they need. Yes, they miss Ben Johnson, but that offense is set in place. Everybody knows what they're doing, and they're not going to change it, so you're good. The Vikings, you saw what they did last year with Sam Darnold. Now J.J. McCarthy stepping up, and again, he's in a situation where he just needs to protect the ball, and they'll do fine. And the Packers are always a contender. They're always there, though they have some issues on the offensive side of the ball that they should probably work on. Defense too, they're still there. And now the Bears, again, much improved offensive line. Your quarterback is going into a second year. They're in a great position, and then seeing the NFC North evolve to this is extraordinary, because if the Bears start to win the division, they will have more of a reputation as a winner rather than just, it's the Bears.
Yeah, they're battle tested.
Right. So, yeah, it's been cool to see.
Yeah, obviously, I hate every team in this division. Obviously, one is way higher than the other two. I really don't even – I hate the Vikings. I don't really have a problem with Vikings fans. Vikings fans are the most nice people I've ever run into, whether it's at the game or on the internet. I really haven't met any terrible Vikings people. Like, what I'm saying? Maybe just Minnesota people are just very, very nice. Detroit Lions fans forgot where they came from. That's just really weird. Like, yeah, y'all been good these last couple years. Shout out to you. But remember where you came. If we got where we came from, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all would jump off a building to have the Bears history. That's how bad it's been for them. Y'all remember where you come. And the Packers are just, you think about all-time rivalries in the history of sports. You think of, first rivalry I ever think about is Yankees-Red Sox. I was just watching the comeback documentary where the Red Sox came back from 3-0. Like, Red Sox-Yankees is real cooled off now. Like, even they met in the playoffs like 2-3 years ago, but it didn't have the energy. You know why? Because the players don't hate each other. Like, I was watching the comeback when Don Zimmer ran up on Pedro and got, Jason Varitek beating up A-Rod. Like, that was like beef. You think of Lakers Celtics, you know what I'm saying? You think of Cubs Cardinals, like all these legendary ones. Bears Packers is in that upper echelon. And for those of you who aren't Bears or Packers fans, and you say, the Packers been beating them up the last 30 years. That's very true. But both teams, it still matters. And not only does it still matter, it matters to the NFL. Why? Because one of the games are always on national TV. It's all one of the two is going to be a primetime game every year. So you got that. So there's always that hate between that two. But I want to get into, like, before we get basically we're gonna break down all three of our rivals, what their off season was like. We'll go over their schedule a little bit and what we are expecting from them. Then we'll close it out with just a ranking of how we think the NFC North is gonna finish. We're not gonna give records, just who's gonna like what's the order of how they're gonna fall. But let's go with how last year went. So the Bears' record against the NFC North last year was 1-5. Now they beat the Packers for the first time in 7 years. With that win in January, last game of the season, Caleb walking them down, big third down conversion to DJ Moore, Cairo Santos making up for missing the field goal early in the season, won the game in Lambeau Field. Not only have the Bears not beat the Packers in 7 years up to that point, they ain't won in Lambeau in like a decade. Like the last time I remember them winning in Lambeau before this year was that Thanksgiving game where Jake Cutler threw the winning touchdown. Remember Tracy Porter interception of Aaron Rodgers? Like that's how long that was a Thanksgiving game. So that's how long it had been. But even though the Bears were 1-5 against the division, for the most part, these are some close games. Like against the Lions, the Bears first one, the Lions won 34-17. Was on Thanksgiving. The Lions won by a field goal, 23-20. And we all know that was the game that got Eberflus fired because Caleb was cooking and they just ran out of time because that's just what Eberflus did. And of course, it's about the Packers. They won. But the first game, Packers won by tipping the Cairo Santos field goal, and they won 20-19. And so that we were able to split with them for the first time. And then you go against the Vikings. So the Vikings was a little different. So the Vikings, the first game was 30-12, which was just a shellacking. Then that was the second game. That was the second game in December. That was Monday Night Football. The first one was close. Remember, went to overtime. And the Vikings won in overtime 30-27. So even though the record says 1-5, the Bears are getting closer, eye test wise. And one thing that stood out to me that I knew that they were getting closer was because the way that the other players on the other teams talked about it. With Justin and with Mitch Trubisky, I heard people say we wanted to make them play quarterback. You ain't hear none of that from any of the three teams from them. It was, the Bears going to be coming. Like, we've heard them, even in the wins, they would say that. And then we all know the long conversation that Kevin O'Connell had with Caleb Williams, which we now know why he's having that long conversation because he wanted to, Caleb wanted to allegedly play for the Vikings. But it feels like they're getting closer. And with as bad as the coaching was, and out of those 6 games, 5 of them were winnable. I think not even on a moral victory type time, that is something that you can look at as growth.
Yeah, definitely. The mere fact that you don't have to deal with a Chicago Bears quarterback being criticized in the media by saying let him play quarterback is a very, very good sign. And then the fact that Caleb had so many different strides and games within the division where you saw how good and the potential and the talent that is there brings a bit of hope to my heart that I don't think I had. Like I will say I had a little bit with Justin his second year, thinking, he'll make a jump, and then you lost it quickly. With this one, having had a 3,000-yard pass for the first time in eons, and having him throw 20 touchdowns, which would be the first time since Mitch Trubisky, it definitely brings, but also a much more, let me say believable, but Mitch Trubisky's 20 touchdowns was not, at times it seemed like they came in chunks.
Yeah, right, exactly. Numbers lie with those.
Right. I mean, I think he had 24 and 12. He had like a 6 touchdown game, 2 threes, and then a lot of games you're like, that kind of sucked. So still not bad. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl, and I thought he was a solid year that year. But, yeah. I mean, and I'm pretty sure towards the end of the season it was sort of up and downish. But, that being said, I think there's a hope that I haven't had in quite a while.
Yeah, and what's the number one thing you would say after every one of those losses when we would go down and do our video? You'd be like, footsteps getting louder.
Right.
Footsteps getting louder.
You hear him. You hear him coming. Be careful. Be careful.
Be careful. And I also think that's why the Lions players reacted so differently when Ben joined with the Bears. On the St. Brown's podcast. When the news first broke, and Amon-Ra was like, shit. he's like, man, Ben gonna be good with them. You know what I'm saying? That lets them know that if they weren't worried about him, but they know how Ben get down. So I definitely think that was something they're looking at, man. But we're going to go by the first three teams in the order of how they were in the standings. So first we're going to start with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions won back-to-back NFC North championships this year. They went 15-2, and they lost in the divisional round to the Washington Commanders, who went on to the NFC championship game. Now, in the offseason, they lost pretty much their entire coaching staff. We got Ben Johnson. The Jets got Aaron Glenn, and they lost a lot of their coordinators to both the Bears and the Jets. A lot of those people went with both Ben and Aaron Glenn, so they had to switch up some things. Dan Campbell, we're really going to see about Dan Campbell this year. Like, can he bounce back from losing both his coordinators? I remember when Sirianni lost both his coordinators after they went to the Super Bowl the first time, not the one they won, but the first time. They weren't good that year, the next year. So what they did, they hired John Moran as offensive coordinator. He used to work with the Lions a couple years ago before that. And they also hired Kelvin Shepard, who was their defensive line coach, if I'm not mistaken. He has been hired as their new DC. Wasn't any real impactful signings that go off the sheet that we got to really acknowledge. But for everything else, then the team has come back together square one. Just going over that schedule right here, right now. They've got a tough schedule. Obviously, they've got they won the division, so they're going to give them one schedule. They open up on the road in Green Bay. Week 2, they're at home against us. Week 3, they're on the road against the Ravens. Week 4, they're at home against the Browns. Week 5, they're on the road in Cincinnati. Week 6, they are on the road in Kansas City. Week 7, they're home against the Buccaneers. Week 8, they're home against the Vikings. Week 9, they're on the road for a rematch of that divisional game against the Commanders. Week 10, they head to Philadelphia to play the champions. Week 11, they host the Giants. Week 12, they host the Packers. Week 13, they host the Cowboys. Week 14, they head to the Rams. Week 15. Game 15, they face the Steelers, so they face Aaron Rodgers. Game 16, they go on the road to the Vikings, and they close in Chicago against the Bears. That's a tough schedule. And this is – I want to be very clear about something. I do believe there's going to be some drop-off here. They've been playing at an extremely high level these last 2 seasons. The best football that we've seen from the Detroit Lions maybe ever. I don't know how they played before the Super Bowl era, so we're going to say at least Super Bowl era. This is the best they've ever played these last 2 seasons, despite the fact that they haven't went to the Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl. There's going to be a step down, just naturally when you don't have your coordinators, because these new coordinators are going to be having a new routine, having a new offense, having a new defense that they're going to implement. They've got to learn their players as well. And then also, you lose a lot of the creativity that you had that worked so well from them. We knew that even though they were dealing with a lot of injuries, Aiden Hutchinson missed a good part of that season. He's coming back this year. What's he going to be like coming off that injury? But also, you don't have that aggressive style defense that Aaron Glenn had. We all know that you just can't plug and play with somebody who was on the staff. We saw with the Bears. Remember Ron Rivera before he was the go-ahead coach of the Panthers? When he left and they brought Bob Babbage as the defensive coordinator, yeah, he was on Riverboat Ron's staff, but there was a very distinct difference. So it's very rarely that you have a situation like we had in Tampa where they win the Super Bowl with Bruce Arians and then bam, their offensive coordinator, Bunny Colvin, who got a new contract extension today, steps in and they don't look like they lost a beat. That's one of the rare instances that happen. Offensively is why I really think they're going to take a step back. Now we're going to really see can the real Jared Goff stand up? Did Jared Goff really make that turn? or is he just somebody who is being protected a lot by Ben Johnson? Those are the questions that I have for them. I think this is a tough schedule, very tough schedule. And I think they took a little step back last year, even though record-wise didn't look like it. I thought last year was a worse team than the year before. And I think it's going to be the same thing this year. But I do expect them, barring any serious injuries, to still win this division just because they still have the talent. What do you think about the schedule for Detroit, and what are you expecting from them this season?
It's definitely a tough schedule. They've got some contenders. We're talking about Kansas City, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Washington, Philly. Like, you've got some tough, and then of course the division context. That being said, I'm still expecting them to win 13 games. I'm expecting them to really, really do well this season because, again, they have all the skill and the talent in the world to dominate, and they're still the top dog in this division. If not 13, they'll win 12. The losing of the coaching staff is definitely sucks. But when you have such an established scheme offensively and defensively that you want to continue, and you've got coaches that are coming behind implementing that, the only issue is then can they manage the dynamic response of being a coach? Can you manage the in-game scenario as well? I think with having Dan Campbell there, they'll still be fine. So I'm still expecting 12 to 13 wins out of this, and I'm not too concerned about, or if I was a Lions fan, I wouldn't be too concerned about the potential drop-off for the season because I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think about Dan Campbell just as an overall coach? Because I think you got some people who love Dan Campbell. You know, he's an overall football guy. Like, what do you think about him in, like, the pantheon of coaches in the NFL? Is he a guy that you look at as a great coach, or is that going to be something that you think is going to get decided this year?
He's got to get to the Super Bowl at least before I even make that decision. But I do think he's amongst the best just because of how he turned that franchise around in such a very quick fashion. But, like, there's no way you can say he's not amongst the best.
Yeah, I'm with you too. And that's the thing we're not talking about, the pressure aspect here. They gotta make it to the Super Bowl. This is a Super Bowl or bust season. Like, just for the last 2 years, you made it to the NFC Championship game in 2023. You probably should have went to the Super Bowl, but because of calls by Dan Campbell, they did not. And that terrible pass by Jared Goff, which I feel like a baby could have intercepted, that Drake Greenlaw got. But they still made it there. You took a step back last year. Let's be real. You took a step back. You can't go from seconds away from making the Super Bowl to losing at home in a division game against a team that ain't been to the playoffs since Bush Jr.'s second year in office. You can't do – and a rookie quarterback who went there and sliced and diced y'all up. So there, to me, is pressure. I'm not saying it's pressure as in his job's on the line, but if they don't make it at least to the Super Bowl and probably win it, I believe that window is closed. And they're going to start making some decisions roster-wise.
Yeah, we will see this year whether I can say probably typically based on typical NFL trends, the window is probably over, but I don't know until I see them until I see them cleats get on the ground and really know what's the situation.
Yeah, and it's also tough for me why I can't say the window's over for them because the NFC is such a toss-up.
Right.
I always say the Avengers are in the AFC. The Avengers is your Pat Mahomes, your Josh Allens, your Joe Burrow, your Lamar Jacksons. I'm not going to put Justin Herbert in there as much as I want to, but he got to do a little more if I put him in there. I understand Jalen won the Super Bowl. My opinion about Jalen Hurts has not changed. He's a winner. That's it. My opinion on him as a quarterback has not changed. So just off that, the Lions window is still open. But let's go to the Vikings. Vikings finished 14-3, and this is actually where they had a conversation about switching the playoff thing. Thank God these owners came to their senses because I hated that rule about the thing. Like, very rarely does this thing happen. But they were 14-3. Probably could have won the division. There was a couple games that didn't go their way, and they ended up not winning the division. So they had to go on a roll against the Rams, who had like a 3 or 4 game record worse than they did. but the Rams won their division, and they ended up losing a close game. Matthew Stafford did what Matthew Stafford does, and then they lost in the wild card round. Now this year they lost Sam Darnold, which I think we kind of all expected that Sam Darnold was going to get a big paycheck somewhere else. They ended up getting that with the Seattle Seahawks. But it felt like they did not want to immediately give this job to J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy got drafted last year because nobody expected Sam Darnold had that season that he ended up having. So they had him as like the veteran to try to bring him in, and then J.J. McCarthy ended up getting hurt. And he was just out. He had surgery. He's still recovering from surgery, and they think that he should be ready for training camp. But they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. They were waiting for Aaron Rodgers to happen, but they eventually said, look, we're not going to do it. We're going to roll with the young gun. And I don't even think it was more of a, we believe in J.J. McCarthy thing. I believe we're not waiting on this nigga till mid-August when he makes up his mind type thing, because Aaron Rodgers just said that he just signed with the Steelers, like 2 weeks ago? And then he announced this week that he's allegedly retiring after this season. So now you got J.J. McCarthy as your starting QB. So I'm going to go over the schedule for the Vikings right here. So they start they played the Bears. I keep forgetting they played the Bears. They start the season off Monday Night Football in Soldier Field against the Bears. Bears got to make a statement. Bears got to make a statement. You at the crib, Monday Night Football, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman going to be there first game of the season. You got to make J.J. McCarthy's first start as the NFL pain. So they got that. Then they're home against the Falcons, at home against the Bengals, on the road against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, on the road against the Browns, at home against the Super Bowl champion Eagles, on the road against the Chargers, on the road against Detroit, at home against the Baltimore Ravens, at home against the Bears, on the road in Green Bay, on the road in Seattle, at home against the Commanders, on the road against the Cowboys, on the road against the Giants, at home against the Lions, and they close the season at the crib against the Packers. Like schedule-wise, I don't think this is like a tough schedule. But when you have a rookie quarterback, yes, that's 100% a tough schedule. I'm worried about him going to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. I'm worried about him going to Pittsburgh and going against that defense. I'm worried against them going against the Bears defense. I think they're going to take a tremendous backslide. And I'm not saying that J.J. McCarthy is going to be a bad quarterback, because I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt just because I love Kevin McConnell that much as an offensive mind as a coach. I'm going to shoot him some bail on that. But I think this is an 8-9 season, 9-8 season, just because he's a rookie. He's a rookie. He's coming off a surgery, and he's not like one of those rookies who was extra talented like the Caleb Williams or the Jaden Daniels. From watching Ohio State. How would you categorize J.J. McCarthy's college career?
I mean, he's a national champ, but outside of that, it's not like he did too much. Like, I can't really think of a time I'm like, man, J.J. McCarthy was on his shit.
Somebody up.
You know what I'm saying? Not really. Yeah. That being said, I did like him. Like, I did think that he has the tools to be a pretty solid quarterback. I mean, he has a good frame, solid arm. He's accurate, but he never really did much. Never a 3,000-yard passer, probably only 21, 22 touchdowns his 2 starting years. Nothing crazy. That being said, he didn't have to throw like that because of how successful the run game was. But, you didn't
rate him high.
Out.
And I think his career is going to go one or two ways. I think he's going to be a really good, starting QB, nothing to run home about. I think if he's great, I think his ceiling is Kirk Cousins, and that's bad. Kirk Cousins had a really good NFL career, and I would love for him to be my money agent, because nobody wins more in the bank account more than Kirk Cousins. But I also think his floor is career backup, and I just think for a rookie with a team that is expecting to win, let's be real now, this is not a rebuilding squad here. This is a team that is expected to win. I just don't see it happening this year. What are you expecting from the Vikings this year?
Yeah, Vikings, I see them. I mean, I still think they have a good enough team that they'll win 9 games, and it's not like the schedule is too hard. But again, they're going against some hitters where I think Cincinnati, bounces back with a better year. Philadelphia is going to beat them. Detroit might sweep them. They'll probably lose one to the Bears, and then they have to deal with Washington, Green Bay. So I'm still seeing 9-8 from them. I'm not expecting – it'll be obviously a drop in games, 4-game drop, but that's because you're dealing with a rookie quarterback who's never played a down. Like, he's still a rookie because he didn't play last year. He's a rookie quarterback who's never played a down in the NFL. So I'm expecting a little drop off.
Yeah, mine is all on the quarterback. I got 5. I'm with you, 9-8. I'm giving them 9 wins just because I respect Kevin O'Connell and he has playmakers. You have the best wide receiver in the game and Justin Jefferson. You got a really good number 2 in Jordan Addison. You got great running backs. You got a great offense. They got the weapons. I'm just, when it comes to the money throws, which Sam Darnold made in the first half of the season last year, he didn't make them at the end. That's why they didn't win the division. At least from what I know about J.J. McCarthy right now, I don't see it do it. We're going to go to our final team in the North. That is our dreaded enemy, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers went 11-6 last year and lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card round. This to me right here, and as far as like what they for the offseason, the only person they like lost that we really know is like Jair Alexander, but I don't really know if you categorize that as a loss. Jair has been living off his name for about 2-3 seasons. I saw Ravens fans getting hyped. Oh, we get some fun. When I saw somebody say, "Oh, no excuse for the Ravens." Yeah, there's no excuse for them, but it's not because y'all got Jair Alexander. It's because Lamar is trying to shit off the pot, which wasn't his fault they lost last year. It's Mark Andrews. Just catch the damn ball. But it's not because of Jair Alexander. But I'm gonna bring up the Packers schedule because I'm gonna go in on Jordan Love, because to me this will make a break year for Jordan Love. Like, we gotta really find out what Jordan Love is, because I feel like a lot of people just give him love because he's a Green Bay Packer, and we don't actually talk about what kind of quarterback he is. I don't think Jordan Love is Huff, but he ain't good. He turns the ball over way too much. I haven't seen him make that many game-winning plays when it comes down at the end of the season. And he's not. If you look at the lineage of Packer quarterbacks in the last 30 years, you have Brett Favre, 3-time MVP, Super Bowl champion. You got Aaron Rodgers. What was he? 4 or 5-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, dominated for years. And then you got Jordan Love. It's not the same. It's just not the same at all. So if you look at their schedule, so the schedule here for the Green Bay Packers, they open up at home against the Detroit Lions. Comes out swinging against Detroit Lions. At home against the Washington Commanders. They go on the road to Cleveland, go on the road to Dallas. At home against the Bengals. On the road in Arizona. On the road in Pittsburgh. On my birthday, which is Sunday Night Football, where Aaron Rodgers gets to face his former team. Aaron Rodgers is going to win that game. At home against the Panthers. At home against the Eagles. On the road against the Giants. At home against the Vikings. On the road against Detroit. At home against the Bears. Got to go to the Mile High to play the Broncos. And on the road against the Bears. On the road in Baltimore. And then they close the season out in Minnesota. So one thing about the Packers that you always got to know, they're going to have good regular season. That's just what they do. I chalk them in for at least 10 wins every season. So I'm not looking at the regular season. Matt LaFleur will scheme up enough to have Jordan Love do the things they need to do to win 10 games. When the playoffs start is the issue. I'm not expecting nothing from this dude. I don't think he's that good. And I think the world will finally come on a lot of our sides by the end of the season. What are you expecting from the Packers?
I'm still expecting the Packers to probably win 10, 11 games. Probably 10-7. Their schedule, I mean, it seems like, of course, they have similar heavy hitters. I still think they probably get swept by Detroit. They lose to Washington, lose to Philadelphia, and probably lose one to the Bears, or even split one with the Vikings. When I think about that and add it all up, I still see 7. I still have never been impressed with Jordan Love. I don't think Jordan Love is a bad quarterback. I think he'll probably still spend the rest of his career in Green Bay. But the 32-11, 4,000-yard passer his first year was definitely not the quarterback he is now, because now he reduced by almost 1,000 yards, though he did miss games. He missed 2 games, I believe.
Yeah, I
And
think he missed like 2 at the beginning of the season. Yeah,
yeah,
because
he missed 2.
Malik, who's the backup for?
Willis had
Malik Willis came through and won like 2 or 3 games.
right, and so have them decrease by almost 10 touchdowns as well, but still keeping the same interceptions. I don't think he's a bad QB. He's a cool QB, and there are teams who would kill to have a QB as good as him. But I'm not sold on the Packers. They haven't done anything to spruce themselves up, to make themselves better. I think the only team within the division that really made themselves better was the Bears. I haven't said that in quite a long time. 10-7, nothing crazy.
All right, we're going to wrap this podcast up with this ranking, very early rankings. And the word of Stephen A. Dillis is fluid. We're going to rank. Now, we're not going to give records. Just rank how we think it's going to finish in the North. I think that the Lions are going to win the division again. I think the Lions are going to be the number one seed in the NFC North. I think the Bears are going to be number 2. I really do. I think the Bears are going to be number 2, and I think that I will give this record right here. I think they're going to at least go 500 in the division. I think they're going to go at least 3. I think they're going to split with all three teams. And then third, I got the Packers, and I got the Vikings finishing dead last. Like I think this is getting bad very quickly if they don't get off to a respectable start. And it's just all on JJ McCarthy. That's just if JJ McCarthy and he comes out looking like one of the best rookie quarterbacks, and we talking about him, that changes everything. That changes everything if he's even respectable because of how good Kevin O'Connell is and how good that offense is around them. So I got Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings. So I got the North finishing up.
Yeah, I'm probably the same way. I do think the Lions will stay where they are, as I said, 12, 13 games. Bears probably win 10, 11. Bears probably are going – I'm assuming they are sweeping Minnesota, splitting with Detroit, and a good possibility to sweep or either split with Green Bay. I'm the same.
I need a much better showing in week 1 than I've gotten the last couple of years from the Bears.
Week 1 is definitely going to let me know who they are.
Yeah, like because you got a division rival, you got a rookie quarterback coming into your house. You got to smack him up, bro. I'm sorry, like you got to smack him up. Like Caleb's whatever. You can't let J.J. McCarthy in his first career start coming in and making that defense look stupid. Like you can't. I'm looking more at the defense, the offense, whatever. I'm looking at the defense. If the defense look crazy week 1 against rookie quarterback, they're gonna tell me something very, very early. On Monday Night Football, it is because you get extra rest this week. So that's what you're gonna see. But that is all for another edition of the 79th Halas Offseason Pods, episode 2. We got 2 more. We got 2 more for y'all before training camp kicks off. So as usual, follow us on social media at BarChestScott, at Flows Andolini, at 79th and Halas. We gonna holler at y'all, man. Season is right around the corner.
Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis, know that we've been loyal way back from the beginning. A trusted source for the news. 79th and Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis, know that we've been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news. 79th and Halas in your ears, you. Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis.